Gotcha. God, I hate that extra step. Sometimes I hate YouTube streaming sometimes. So what is going? I did a whole intro. Now I gotta do it again because none of you guys saw it. None of you guys saw it. Nobody saw it. Now I have to redo the entire thing, bro. All right. As the homie Akuma 2000 says, let's get ready to rumble. I did it better the first time. What's going on, guys? How we doing? We are back here on PlayStation Source. Indeed, we're going to be reacting to this PS5 reveal 2020. But before we do that, we still have like 26 minutes to kill. So I say we talk about, what are you guys expecting from this event? What are you guys' thoughts? You know what I'm saying? And y'all can watch me play some Vanquish just for a little bit as we wait for the old stream. Oh heck yeah, it's Vanquish, bro. You wanna see me play this shit? Hold up. Y'all should be able to hear it, I think. I may have to lower down the volume a little bit. Let me actually do that right now, just so it doesn't hurt your guys' old ears. But let me know what. Oh, is that my boy Kevin Mack in the chat already? Is that my boy Kevin Mack? What it do, my boy? What it do? What's poppin'? But yeah, I'm still playing through this game because it takes me like 6 hours to beat anything. Oh, that's a friendly. Hold up. We good? Oh no, we're not good. I could have sworn that I did this part last night. Like I got up to the elevator and then I had to dip. But all right, guys, what do we think? Yo, is it really choppy on stream, or is that, or if it's really choppy, I'll just not even show this and I'll just talk to y'all for a little bit. You know? Is it? Can someone? Yeah, y'all, make sure to let me know if it's like really choppy. If it's really choppy, I'll stop. I hope they reveal the price of the console. I don't think they will, my boy. I don't think now is the time for that, personally. Vanquish feed is messed up, but you can't. Okay, gotcha. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna chop the feed. I tried to show y'all, but I know sometimes window capture is ass, but. Here's what I'll do. I'll turn off the PS4, right? Because now is not the time to play games, even though I wish it kind of was. But it's fine. Está bien. I have after the stream, I got plenty of time. You know what I'm saying? And boys, keep on the lookout for Uncharted 4. That is starting here pretty soon on the channel. We did Uncharted 3 this weekend, but Uncharted 4 is coming up. So all right, what do we here? Let me. King Julian, my mother flipping boy. What it do? Like that. All right. I need to go to PlayStation's YouTube channel. Is that the deal? Also, Christian will be joining us in a little bit. He's just taking a little shower, taking a little scrub dub, and we should be good. PlayStation. I think they have the feed. Yeah, right here, the Road to PS5, which honestly is hilarious because if y'all know, of course, if anyone's new here listening, we are PlayStation Source. We, obviously cover any and all things PlayStation. And down below in the description, you can find our links to. Wait. Why is it saying 9 a.m.? Oh, wait, no. I'm an idiot. I thought that it was 7 a.m. I'm an idiot. But if you guys aren't interested in any of our long-form content, we do these deep dives into certain games, right? So right now we are doing Road to The Last of Us Part 2, which Road to Part 2, which goes up Saturdays. And we also have Road to 587 Remake as well. So it's very interesting that they named it Road to PS5, because I'm like, wait, how do I file a copyright against Sony? Is that something that I can do? No. Here's what I kind of want to do, actually, while we're here. Let me check in on the homie Taj. Let me see if he's chilling right now, because I'm sure he's on stream. So big shout out to Taj. Let's give him a little. What's he doing? He's playing some factions. Let's.
I don't know if I heard that right.
Show him a little love.
I heard something about like 100,000 in Ohio, some crazy shit. That might have it or something like that. They don't know it. Some crazy stuff like that.
I don't think he's gonna see this comment, but.
So loud. Hold on. My bad. Yo, Touch, I'm brand new to the channel. I've been watching all your videos. Damn,
I don't know
I've
if you'll
enjoyed
see
every
that.
single one of them, and I smashed the sub button, bro. So nice to have a Last of Us fanboy for life. Yo, much love, homie. Of course. Bro, I love The Last of Us. And this is just a fact.
Yeah, no, he's definitely
Always
like I see.
have.
It's fine. It's all good. It's all good. We'll check in on him later. But hey, we had someone point out the 69 watching. Hey, all right. So what do we think? Yeah, so we have 21 minutes just to kill. Christensen's gonna come up here in a little bit. But what do we think we'll be seeing, y'all? You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna be over here just chilling, making some thumbnails. You know what I'm saying? Like, do you know who Dom the Bomb is? I don't believe so. Sadly, just a premiere on the hour. Shout out to everyone here in the chat as well, guys. Make sure also if you guys are interested, links below in the description to be able to check out our other content, as well as, of course, leave a like, share the stream, all that good stuff, right? We got 80 beautiful people watching us right now. Shout out to everyone here watching on this bright morning. Well, actually not bright. It's pretty yeah, it's pretty cloudy. But yeah, so we have Kunji Studio Home, who is laying out that, yeah, like this premiere, there's a way to see how long this is, and it's about 52 minutes long. So it's going to be about an hour. We'll be here. I just hope to see expandable storage. Yeah, so I actually have a video scripted about the expandable storage stuff that will probably go live tomorrow, I think. Probably go live tomorrow. I'll probably shoot it today, but probably go live tomorrow. After this, I need to finish the latest podcast. I got like halfway through. King Julian, my boy. Make sure to listen to all those podcasts down below as well. Is the length of the event? Yeah. So it's about 52 minutes long. It's the length of the event. Do y'all want to see me make a thumbnail for Uncharted 4? Because we're starting that here pretty soon. There's no way it's $600, guys. There's no way. And also, I don't think we will see any prices, but I don't. Yeah, you know, I mean, it's not like it's gonna be anything like wild, but might as well. While I'm here, where did I put that file? Oh wait, no, it's in here. Hope we all don't see anything crazy. I don't think there's anything wild in here, honestly. Oh, I don't even know if I picked an Uncharted 4. Did I pick an Uncharted 4? Oh, yes. Oh, no. I did. Oh, okay. I have it. We're good. All right. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take this over here. We're going to move this over here. And then, yeah, so definitely let me know your predictions down below. What do we think? Let's see. How robust will backwards compatibility be? Honestly, I've been hearing reports that it'll be all generations. I really doubt that, to be honest. I don't know, guys. I really don't know. You know? Actually, I need to wipe this whole thing, actually. I need to start with a blank canvas. I'm not sure, guys. I mean, like, people have been... No, that's the wrong thing. I don't want that right now. People have been saying that it's going to be compatible with, like, all the PlayStation consoles, and I'm just like, you know, I don't believe that. You know, I don't know. That just seems like a little bit too good. I kind of want to flip this. I should flip this. 90 counterclockwise. That is not what I wanted. No, I need 180. Nope, that's not what I wanted. Okay, no, I know. Flip horizontally. Boom. Perfect. That way I could put the logo in the top left. Beautiful. When the event will start, please. The event starts in about 28 minutes. Christian says, Kev, you see this giant PSN cell? I did see that. It's looking hot. We have a birthday in the chat? Yo, happy birthday, Marty. Wait a minute. Boys, happy birthday. What the flip? I have a PC. I just want good features. Of course, more exclusives like Last of Us, God of War. Yep, of course. We will get all those good stuff. You know, even if it comes to PC a few years after. Oh, man. LMAO. But, yo, happy birthday, Marty. What the fuck? Everything shutting down because of the CV. So, yeah, man. I hope you can still have I hope you can still have a very good birthday, even though There's not a lot of activities to do. My phone always be interrupting me on streams, bro. I can't take it. I swear, bro. I swear. I swear, bro. Always be doing that. Yeah, Marty, it's truly an honor to have you here on stream with us because it's your birthday, man. So shout out. I definitely need to edit the way this image looks, low key. I need to make this pop a little bit. Christian, if you're watching, Omar, hey, if you want to react with us, by all means, Omar, you can join the call too, my boy. It don't matter. PS5 will work on HDTVs. Do not fret, of course. But this hype, bro. The pleasure is still mine. Oh, Marty, the pleasure is all mine, good sir. The pleasure is all mine. You know what I'm saying? You could have been in any other stream, but you chose to play this sort of shot to you. Everyone here that's new to the channel, be sure to check our links below. You can see our different links. There we go. I was like, what am I saying? Links down below. The description, you know what I'm saying? Our Twitter, our Discord. The Discord server is always popping. You know what I'm saying? Make sure to go over there and do that. Dude, my whole time just shut everything down. No gathering of more than 10 people. Yeah, for me, so a little bit of, if we're going to talk about that topic, it's kind of hard not to talk about the topic. You know what I'm saying? I'm a server. So our restaurant hasn't officially shut down yet, but I have a shift today, and I don't think I'm making it to that shift. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think it's going to persist, because there's a meeting right now at, like, I think 9:30. There's a meeting within the confines of the community that is within the restaurant that I work at. Because I work at like a country club type deal, and they're having a meeting right now as to what to do about it. And I think they're gonna decide to shut the restaurant down, which would mean that we may be starting Uncharted 4 today. So here we go. We have 100 people in here. It's lit. King Julian, I know. Yo, thank you all for supporting us, bro. Much appreciated on the support. If y'all could please leave a like on the stream as well as share it. You know what I'm saying? All the good stuff. We definitely appreciate it. Will you show? Yes, the event will be shown here. It's starting in 15 minutes. I'm just making a thumbnail. You know what I'm saying? If Bloodborne 2 isn't a real thing, then life is a lie. LMAO. Stay safe. Yep, Omar is passing on the good word, as I will pass on as well. Make sure to stay safe, y'all. Wash your hands. I'm about to do that actually right now before I start the stream. I work as a bartender, and it looks rough for the next few weeks. Yeah, I know, dude. I'm a server, bro. I feel you on that, dog. I really, really feel you on that on a personal level. I really do, man. Things are gonna be interesting, but hopefully, hopefully it all passes pretty soon. Why can't I select anything? What the flip? Oh wait, that's why I had this open. I'm an idiot. But yeah, us in the service industry, yeah, we're gonna have to make some work here for a little bit. We're gonna have to figure something out, but it's all good. It's all good, guys. How big the TV screen is recommended for PS5? It's all a matter of personal preference. You know what I'm saying? You're probably gonna want a 4K TV if you don't have one already. And I would have said that if you're buying a PS4 Pro as well. Like, you'd probably want to go 4K just to take advantage of that. But, the size, I game primarily on a 21-inch monitor. But I have a 55-inch that I run a HDMI cord to. So in case I want to in case if I just want to lay down in bed and play a game, I can do that as well. But the size doesn't matter, but definitely the resolution matters. So I would say if you can't get a 4K, get a 4K. Might as well. But if not, 1080p still looks great. 1080p still looks great. I saw someone talking about something. My medical college shut down for a month. Gamers Unite, LMAO. I don't get to catch streams often, but I'm happy to be here. Yo, the one bar, shout out to you, man. I appreciate you coming out, dude. Thank you for the support. At least we have some good stuff to watch. Yeah, this is not, I hope this thumbnail is entertaining for y'all to see. But, of course, we will get to the main event when the main event. I kind of want it to match, actually. I kind of want to actually match the red. Can I do that? Yeah. No, I don't like that. That's too dark. Let's make that red pop a little bit. Catch the eye in the thumbnail. 72 inches is recommended. Is it going to support 1440p? Yeah. Yeah, for sure. For sure, it'll support 1440p, good sir. Absolutely. the resolution for 4K is 2160 by 1440. So no, it's not. No, it's not. The resolution for 4K is 3280 by 2160. Like 3820 by something like that. It's like 3870 by 2160. Yep, I'm gaming on 24-inch monitor. I have a 55-inch in my bedroom. Also a projector that has 4K. You have 4K 150-inch projector? Bro, that's hot. That's hot. That's fire. Dude, that's hot. 150-inch 4K projector. Holy shit. Well, I have a projector at my parents' house, where I grew up at, obviously. I don't know why I had to disclose that I grew up at my parents' house, but I definitely grew up at my parents' house. But they have a projector, but my dad always wanted to get a 4K projector, but never bit the bullet. Never actually did the thing, But I want to brighten this picture up just a little bit. See, it's a little bit too much dark, but let's just brighten up. There we go. I hope backwards. Yeah, I mean, backwards compatibility. How would you get the device? Wait, how would you get the event on your device? You can stay here and watch it here with us, or if you want, I'm just going. I'm showing. So right here is what we're gonna be watching. It's on the PlayStation Source. I mean, sorry, not PlayStation Source. The PlayStation YouTube channel, and it's called The Road to PS5. If you're interested, this chat is going crazy. Wow. So if you want to watch it, uninterrupted, you can do that as well. But wait, should I? Omar and Christian, if you guys are watching this, feel free to just call whenever. If you want to be on the stream. Of course. I'm just making this for the next Let's Play series, which is going to be Uncharted 4. I'm actually really excited. I'm actually a lot more excited for Uncharted 4 after playing through Uncharted 1, 2, and 3. This is oof. And guys, I am making a separate video after. Wait, let me save this. I feel like this one needs a little bit more of an aggressive drop shadow. Hold on. Be there in 5. Okay, dope. All right, cool. All right. Gaming on 65-inch 4K Roku. I have a 55-inch 4K Roku. Listen, a lot of people talk trash about the Rokus. Let me tell y'all something. Look, I think the Roku TVs are the best bang for your buck overall. You know what I'm saying? Overall, I think if you really want like a nice TV and don't want to pay like a Samsung panel, yes, these Samsung panels are far and away better, But if you are kind of just wanting like to get into 4K without spending like a really huge amount, I would opt for the TCL 4K Roku is what I have specifically. I like it a lot. You should play all the Dark Souls. Oof, my boy. That's an interesting statement. Yeah, I'm not a Souls guy, bro. That's just not my thing, bro. That's just not it, bro. I mean, the closest thing I played to a Souls game completely through is Star Wars Fallen Order. Jedi Fallen Order, excuse me. Jedi Fallen Order. But actually, I'm trying to think if I should go into a public voice chat. Actually, no. Yeah, I'm gonna go into mod chat. Actually, no, I'm not. Maybe I will. I don't know. What do you expect the price for the PS5 to be? For me personally, I think the price is gonna be $500. I think at max they can charge $500, and everyone be like, okay, I can see that. If it's anything more than that, I don't think they'll get away with it. Considering that right now, the latest rumor is that to manufacture the console itself, it's about $450, and then when you take into account packaging and shipping and all that, it rises up to about $470. So I think, obviously they're not gonna make like a console $480, $490. Like they'll just run it up to $500. I think that's what the price is gonna be, honestly. But I don't think we're gonna see prices in this stream, bro. Sekiro was a roller coaster of emotions and lots of that. Yeah, dude, I know. They're going to try $600 when they see everyone in the U.S. get those $1,000 checks. LMAO. Yo, they're going to be like, hey, listen, y'all definitely have the funds now. Oh, man. Crazy. Is it $1,000? I heard last night that it was going to be $2,000 or something like that. I don't know if they're still deliberating with it and still trying to figure it out. But, yeah, it's going to be wild. Yo, Sekiro was insane. Christian played Sekiro, and he stopped at the first time you fight the monkey, the like big monkey. Y'all know what I'm talking about. He stopped at the first one, and I probably wouldn't have gotten that far either, honestly, because Sekiro looks insane. You know, it's just those just aren't my. I don't like that type of difficulty in games. I don't know how to explain it. Like I like Celeste type of difficulty where like I know what I did wrong, and I can, learn in a way. You know what I'm saying? But that's just me. That is just me. Do 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 do. Yeah, now I'm playing through Bloodborne. Yeah, Bloodborne was the same way, bro. I could not. Second movie Rage Quit. I haven't played it since. It's a great game. It just fucked. Yeah, yeah. There was a lot of funny stream compilations on Bloodborne. This shit's hilarious, for sure. Yo, we got 5 minutes to go. We're almost there, boys. Almost there. Get hype. Get hype. They're gonna. I'm not. I'm NG plus 12 on Bloodborne. I don't know what that means. NG plus 12. Interesting. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. I just love the feelings when you surpass the boss. It feels so rewarding like no other games. Oh, I'm an idiot. New Game Plus. God, I'm an idiot, bro. I'm sorry. My bad. God, I know what New Game Plus is. I'm an idiot. God, I'm so stupid sometimes, y'all. I swear. I'm getting excited, boys. We're almost there. PlayStation 5 reveal event 2020. Make sure to check out our links down below in the description. You know that feeling when you were supposed to defrost chicken and your mom pulls in the driveway? I feel that right now. Wait, why? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Wait, are you talking about how, like, you're anticipating this event? Or are you talking about how, like, something went wrong? Black Bear. I like an artist named Black. Discord updating. Oh, it's fine. Those updates take super short amount of time. It's fine. It's all good. Oof, is that still a thing on 2020? Defrosting chicken? Absolutely. You better defrost as well as what. You know what? Actually, boys, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do a public service right now. I want everyone to get up. Everyone stand up. Stand up. Come on. Everyone get up. We're going to go wash our hands. All right? We're lavar los manos. I think that's how you say it. Hey, Siri. How do you say wash your hands in Spanish again?
In Spanish, watching is mirando.
No, it's not. No, not watching. Washing. Oh, my God. Hey, Siri. How do you say wash your hands in Spanish?
In Spanish, wash your hands is lávate las manos.
Hello.
I knew that. All right, everyone. I need everyone stand up. Hello, Christian. How you doing?
I'm sitting down.
Everyone stand up. Go to your near sink and wash your damn hands. All right. This is what I'm gonna do right now. How we doing, Christian? Nice to see you. If you want to talk to the chat, feel free to do so. I am gonna actually wash my hands real quick.
Okay. Hey, chat. So I texted Kevin a few minutes ago, and that was like 20 minutes ago. Regardless, I am hopeful about this. I know people are saying don't expect games. Maybe the workaround there is don't expect new games, because I think there's a chance we might see some backwards compatibility. In this 52-minute presentation, I think, in my heart, I feel backwards compatibility is going to be here.
I mean, I'm more inclined to believe that because, their Discord showing. Huh? Would you look at that? I didn't anticipate Discord to show the call, but they are.
Kevin, before the stream starts, do you want me to go over that Spider-Man thing?
Yes.
Okay, so there's like an 85% chance I dreamed this.
Okay. You just stopped talking.
Did
Oh wait. Okay, never mind. Sorry.
I did think I saw a tweet
Okay.
that said they're going to showcase Spider-Man PS4, and I couldn't find it, but essentially what they said is that it's like, remember how they showed loading times?
Yes, I do. I do recall that.
It's going to be the same thing essentially.
Okay. I mean, okay.
So
I like that personally.
yeah, so it would basically be like, hey, here's the backwards compatibility showcase through Spider-Man, like super fast loading times.
Mm-hmm.
It looks beautiful, 4K native. I don't know. I
I mean,
believe they called it in the tweet. I think they said Spider-Man PS4 Enhanced Edition or something like that.
enhanced edition.
Yeah, and I looked up that exact phrase and I could not find it, so that's why I said it might be a dream.
I mean, here's the thing. I think it'd be wise of them to show off PS5 stuff with Spider-Man PS4 because of course, how many copies that game sold and how successful it was overall for PS4 and how popular of a game that is. You know,
For sure.
Like I think that could be a wise decision, but
And the Enhanced Edition would be the only way you get the Andrew Garfield skin.
oh,
They were saving it for that.
oh snap! I see.
But you're the big PlayStation man here right now. What's your biggest expectation? What's one thing you really think is going to happen?
So, if you guys caught that late upload yesterday, what to expect at the PS5 event? It's like, oh shit, it's starting right now. But
2 minutes.
Mac, oh sorry, wait, 2 minutes. Okay, I just screwed it. All right, I think, dude, I really think we might be seeing that. And like, if that actually happens, I'm gonna laugh, but it's gonna be so great, you know. But what I mean, I'm just expecting that. All right, we're just gonna see, you know, technical specs. I'm gonna mute the stream right now as we're talking, but you know, I assume we're just gonna we're gonna see more in depth like technical specs and like I hope we see like more features of the PS5. I assume we're gonna see that, but like, you know, more you know, features and stuff like that. Because I forgot who said this, but someone at Sony said that, hey, like we haven't even showed you guys like the crazy stuff with PS5 yet, you know, like features wise. What if Mark Cerny brings back Jack and Daxter instead of making Knack 3? Holy shit!
I will
cry,
scream,
open mouth cry. I'm pretty sure the PS4 will be compatible since the PS4 is definitely gonna be compatible with PS5. The big question is PS3, PS2, and PS1. That's the big question.
Honestly, I think the big question is PS3.
That is entirely the biggest question. Absolutely.
I think there's totally a world where we get PS1, PS2, and PS4.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Oh, we are 20 seconds away. Anyone in the chat, throw out your craziest prediction. Wow, I can't talk. Craziest predictions.
Yeah, what are they?
Jesus, Kevin. God. Literally, everything's on the table. All right.
Moments away, Kevin.
Oh God. Wait,
I'm watching about to rise up from a satanic cult.
I'm watching the YouTube stream. I don't know what you're watching.
I'm on YouTube as well.
Okay,
we had
dope.
to cancel the talk that we had planned for GDC.
Jim Ryan?
But we do have some super exciting news about PS5.
I don't hear him.
Who better to bring that to you than the one and only Mark Cerny. Without further ado, over to you,
Is
Mark.
that a fake crowd?
Thank you, Jim.
No, that's real. Can you hear him? Is he
There will
speaking?
be
Yeah.
lots of chances later on this year to look at the PlayStation 5 games. Today, I want to talk
It is a very
about
low
the
stream,
goals
though.
for the
It's very,
PlayStation
like,
5 hardware
it's
and
pretty
how they
quiet.
influenced the development of the console. I think you all know I'm a big believer in
Oh
console.
shit, we're already getting into
Once every 5
fucking
and
gens.
6 or
Oh
7
shit.
years, a console arrives with
Okay, I
substantially
turned on
new
captions because I hear
There's
nothing.
a lot of learning by the game developers, hopefully not too overwhelming, and soon there's games that could never have been created before. Now, it used to be that as a console designer, you'd somehow intuit what would be the best set of capabilities for the new console, and then build it in complete secrecy. For the PlayStation consoles, that period lasted through PlayStation 3, a powerful and groundbreaking console, but also one that caused quite a lot of heartache, as it was initially difficult to develop games for.
Very difficult.
So, starting with PlayStation 4, we've taken a different approach, roughly centered around 3 principles. The first of these is listening to the developers, which is to say that a lot of what we put into a console derives directly from the needs and aspirations of the game creators. We definitely do have some ideas of our own, but at the core of our philosophy for designing consoles is that game players are here for the fantastic games, which is to say that game creators matter. Anything we can do to make life easier for the game creators or help them realize their dreams, we will do.
Oh, no.
About once every 2 years, I take a tour of the industry. I go to the various developers and publishers, sit down, and discuss how they're doing with the current consoles and what they'd like to see in future consoles. This requires weeks on the road, as reaching the bulk of the game creators involves talking to well over 100 people at something like 24 publishers and developers. And it is incredibly valuable. By the way, the feature most requested by the developers, that was an SSD, which we were very happy to put in the hardware, but a lot of problem solving was required. I'll be doing a deep dive on the SSD and surrounding systems later on in this talk. It's also key to make a generational leap while keeping the console sufficiently familiar to game developers. I think about this in terms of balancing evolution and revolution. Now, with PlayStation 1, 2, and 3, the target was a revolution each time with a brand new feature set. That was great in many ways, but time for the developers to get up and running got longer with each console. In the past, I've called this time to try.
The fact that they're showing those 3 and not the PS4.
To be clear, I'm not talking about time to make a game.
Maybe
developers
it's like
will
they're
be
assuming
ambitious,
that we know
and
that
it
the
may
PS4
take them
is ready to
6
be back
years or so to
compatible.
realize their
And these are
vision.
the questionary ones.
What I'm
but
talking
we'll
about
see.
is
Yeah,
that
'cause
dead
I
time
don't know
before
if it's about a
graphics and
back
other
compatible
aspects
or
of
about
game
like a
development are up and running,
architecture.
and trying to
Yeah.
minimize that. On
That's
the
what
other
he's
hand,
talking
if we're
about.
trying to reduce that dead time to 0, that means the hardware architecture can't change at all. We're handcuffed. We need to judge for each feature what value it adds and whether it's worth the increase in developer time needed to support it. So with PlayStation 4, we were able to strike a pretty good balance between performance and familiarity. We got required learning back to PlayStation 1 levels. With PS5, the GPU was definitely the area we felt the most tension between adding new features and keeping a familiar programming model. Ultimately, I think we've ended up with something under a month of getting up to speed. That feels like we're striking about the right balance. I'll go into a bit more detail later today about our philosophy with the GPU and the specific feature set that resulted from it. It's also very important for us, as the hardware team, to find new dreams, by which I mean something other than CPU performance, GPU performance, and the amount of RAM.
I thought you were going to
The
say
increase in
like,
graphics
other than
performance
media
over the
molecule
past 2
streams.
decades has been
Something
astonishing,
like
but there are other areas in which we can innovate and provide significant value to the game creators, and through them, the players. That's why the SSD was very much on our list of directions to explore, regardless of what came out of the conversations with game developers and publishers. The biggest feature in this category is the custom engine for audio. That's today's final topic. The push for vastly improved audio, and in particular 3D audio, isn't something that came out of the developer meetings.
swear
it's
that
much
crowd
more
is
the
fake.
case that we had a
Not
dream
one
of
of them
what
has moved.
might be possible 5 years from now, and then worked out a number of steps we could take to set us on that path. So here again are the 3 principles. The first being enabling the desires of developers to drive the hardware design. To me, the SSD really is the key to the next generation. It's a game changer. And it was the #1 ask from developers for PlayStation 5. As in, we know it's probably impossible, but can you put an SSD in it? That was a discussion we were also having internally. It was clear that the presence of a hard drive in every PlayStation 4 was having a positive impact. A lot of things that would simply have been impossible at Blu-ray disc speeds were now possible. At the same time, though, in 2015 and 2016, when we were having these conversations, developers were already banging up against the limits of the hard drive, and a lot of developer time was being spent designing around slow load speeds. I want to focus in on just one number here, which is developers were already banging up against the limits of the hard drive, and a lot of developer time was being spent designing around slow load speeds. I want to focus in on just one number here, which is how long it takes to load a gigabyte of data from a hard drive. The difficulty being that hard drives are neither particularly fast nor flexible.
I'm glad they're showing this
If
because
all
a
your
lot
data
of
is
people
in one
don't
block,
realize
which is
that
frankly not very
SSDs
likely, you
are
can load
basically what's
50 to
making
100
next gen,
megabytes a
next
second,
gen.
depending
Yeah,
on where
yeah,
the data is
100%.
located on the hard drive. Let's assume it's on the outer edge,
I'm glad
which means
being
loading a gigabyte
laid
takes
out like,
10
yo,
seconds.
guys, like, here's
If
the
you
actual
compress
difference,
your
like,
game packages,
from a
you
hard
can
drive to
fit
SSD.
more data on the Blu-ray disc and also effectively boost your hard drive read speed by the compression ratio. We support zlib decompression on PlayStation 4 that gets you something like 50% more data on the disk and 50% higher effective read speed. Unfortunately, though, it's highly likely that your data is scattered around in various files on the hard drive, as well as sourced from multiple locations within those files. So lots of seeks are needed at 2 to 50-ish milliseconds each. My rule of thumb is that the hard drive is spending 2/3 of its time seeking and only 1/3 of its time actually loading data.
Interesting.
Putting all of that together, a gigabyte is very roughly 20 seconds to load from a hard drive. Now, a gigabyte is not much data. Games are using 5 or 6 gigabytes of RAM on PlayStation 4, so boot times and load times can get pretty grim. Or to put that differently, as a player, you wait for the game to boot, wait for the game to load, wait for the level to reload every time you die, and you wait for what is euphemistically called fast travel. And all of that leads to the dream. What if we could have not just an SSD, but a blindingly fast SSD? If we could load 5 gigabytes a second from it, what would change? Now, SSDs are completely different from hard drives. They don't have seeks as such. If you have a 5 gigabyte a second SSD, you can read data from 1,000 different locations in that second, pretty much at speed. As for time to load a gigabyte, this is next gen we're talking about, so memory is bigger. Instead, we should be asking how long to load 2 gigabytes. And the answer is about 1/4 of a second. That's amazing. We're talking 2 orders of magnitude, meaning very roughly 100 times faster. Which means at 5 gigabytes a second for the SSD, the potential is that the game boots in a second. There are no load screens. The game just fades down while loading a half dozen gigabytes and fades back up again. Same for a reload. You're immediately back in the action
to see how fast these games just boot
and
up,
fast travel becomes so fast
Definitely.
you blink and you miss it. As
And the
game
good thing
creators,
about
we go from trying to
this is that
distract the
with
player
discs,
from
you have
how
to,
long
like,
fast travel
duplicate
is
that
taking,
information so
like
that you
those
can get it
Spider-Man
faster.
subway
Yeah.
rides, to being so
Now that they
blindingly
just
fast
can like
that we
go
might
straight
even
to
have
it,
to slow
less
that
duplication,
transition
which
down.
means potentially
Pretty
lower
cool,
game
right?
file
But for
sizes.
me, this is not the
it's all good
primary
all
reason
around,
to
yeah,
change from a hard
absolutely.
drive to
Yeah,
an SSD.
so no more 100
The
gig
primary reason
spaces
for
for one
an
game.
ultra-fast SSD
Or, you know,
is
100
that
gig
it
free to
gives
play
the
Battle
game
Royale game.
designer
I digress.
Yeah.
Or to put that differently, with a hard drive, the 20 seconds that it takes to load a gigabyte can sabotage the game that the developer is trying to create. I think almost all of us in the room have experienced this, maybe in different ways. Say we're making an adventure game and we have 2 rich environments where we each want enough textures and models to fill memory, which you can do as long as you have a long staircase or elevator ride or a windy corridor where you can ditch the old assets and then take 30 seconds or so to load the new assets. Having a 30-second elevator ride is a little extreme. More realistically, we'd probably chop the world into a number of smaller pieces and then do some calculations with sight lines and run speeds like we did for Haven City when we were making Jack 2. The game is 20
He really brought up Jack. No fucking way.
All those twisted
No
passages
fucking
are
way.
there
He
for a
really
reason.
did it.
There's a whole subset of level design dedicated to this sort of
I
work.
played Jack
but
2
still,
last year,
it's a
and this like
giant
showcase he's
distraction for
talking
a
about
team
does
that
not hold
just
up.
wants to make their
Damn.
game. So
it is
when I
seamless.
talked about
Oh my
the
God,
dream of
he
an
coulda
SSD,
brought up
part of the
any
reason
game,
for
but
that
he
5
brought up
gigabyte
Jack.
a
No
second
fucking
target
way.
was to eliminate loads.
No
So you knew I was
but
watching.
also part of the reason
Absolutely.
for that target
Absolutely.
was streaming. As in, what if the SSD is so fast that as the player is turning around, it's possible to load textures for everything behind the player in that split second? If you figure that it takes half a second to turn, that's 4 gigabytes of compressed data you can load. That sounds about right for next gen.
That's
Anyway,
insane.
back to the hard drive. Another strategy for increasing effective read speed is to make big sequential chunks of data. For example, we might group all the data together for each city block. That removes most of the seeks, and the streaming gets faster. But there's a downside too, which is that frequently used data is included in many chunks and therefore is on the hard drive many, many times. Marvel's Spider-Man uses this strategy, and though it works very well
See,
for
that's what I was
increasing
talking
the
about.
streaming
Yep.
speed, there's a massive duplication as a result. Some of the objects, like mailboxes or news racks, are on the hard drive 400 times.
Wow.
What I'm describing here are things that cramp a creative director's style. Either level design gets a little bit boring in places, or the data is duplicated so many times that it no longer fits on the Blu-ray disc. And you end up with hard limits on the player's run speed or driving speed. The player can't go faster than the load speed from the
He's
hard
about to
drive.
Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And finally, I'm sure many of you have noticed that after a patch download, the PlayStation 4 will sometimes take a long time to install the patch. That's because when just part of a file has been changed, the new data can be downloaded pretty quickly. But before the game boots up, a brand new file has to be constructed that includes the changed portion. Otherwise, every change would add a seek or two. Even so, you can occasionally see this happening on game titles. They start to hitch once they get patched enough. With an SSD, though, no seeks, so no need to make brand new files with the changes incorporated into them, which means no installs
Okay, no,
as
the
you
guy in
know
the front
them
moved.
today.
Okay, maybe.
Yeah, I was just gonna say he moved.
Yeah. Okay,
There's
wait a
yet
minute. Hold
one
on.
more benefit, which
I
is
thought it
that
was like a
system
Persona
memory
looking-
can
wait,
be
is
used
it Persona?
much more efficiently. On
What am I
PlayStation
thinking of?
4,
Like,
game
let's say
data
the
on the
black-
hard
oh,
drive
okay.
feels very distant and difficult to use. By the time you realize you need a piece of data, it's much too late to go out and load it. So system memory has to contain all of the
Jose,
data
I mean,
that
it's
could be
nice that
used
he's like
in the
breaking it
next
down for
30
people that
seconds
don't
or so
understand the
of
difference between
gameplay.
a hard drive and SSD.
That means a
you
lot
know,
of the
and like
8
how it could
gigabytes of
potentially
system
affect
memory
games. You know,
is
so
idle. It's just
for
waiting
her-
there.
us
to
that
be
know, yeah, okay, this is
potentially
like
used.
so that we know, but it's
On
cool that he's laying it
PlayStation
out there.
5, though,
Yeah.
the SSD is very close to being like more RAM. Typically, it's fast enough that when you realize
other
you
thing,
need
too, is,
a
like,
piece of data, you can
With
just
the Wired
load
article,
it from the
when we were
SSD
like
and use
SSD,
it.
that was a
There's
lot of
no need
assumption
to have
about
lots
how
of
they
data
utilize
parked
it.
in system memory waiting to
But he's basically
potentially be
confirming
used.
what we
A
wanted him to be
different way
using it
of
for.
saying that is
Right,
that most
right.
of RAM is working on the game's behalf. This is one of the reasons that 16 gigabytes of GDDR6 feels right for PlayStation 5. The presence of the SSD reduces the need for a massive intergenerational increase in size. So back to the dream of the SSD. Here's the set of targets. Boot the game in a second. No load screens. Design freedom, meaning no twisty passages or long corridors. More game on the disk and more game on the SSD. And finally, those patch installs go away. The reality, though, is that the SSD is just one piece of the puzzle. There's a lot of places where bottlenecks can occur in between the SSD and the game code that uses the data. You can see this on PlayStation 4. If I use an SSD with 10 times the speed of a standard hard drive, I probably see only double the loading speed, if that. For PlayStation 5, our goal was not just that the SSD itself be 100 times faster. It was that game loads and streaming would be 100 times faster. So every single potential bottleneck needed to be addressed. And there are a lot of them. Let's look at check-in and what happens when its overhead gets 100 times larger. Conceptually, check-in is a pretty simple process. Data is loaded into system memory from the hard drive or SSD. It's examined. A few values are tweaked to check it in, and then it's moved to its final location. At the SSD speeds we're talking about, that last part, moving the data, meaning copying it from one location to another, takes roughly an entire next-gen CPU core. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. If all the overheads get 100 times larger, that will cripple the frame rate as soon as the player moves and that massive stream of data starts coming off.
I'm not expecting them to show the
So to
console.
solve all
Me
of that,
neither,
we
bro.
built a lot of custom hardware.
Oh,
Maybe the
we have-
controller.
A custom
We have
flash
Blackberry in the
controller,
chat. Yeah,
and a
yeah.
number of custom units in our
I think we'll
range.
see the controller. I think
The flash
I think
controller in the
controllers-
SSD was designed for
way
smooth
more
and bottleneck-free
interesting
operation,
to
but
me than the
also
box,
with
yeah.
games in mind. For
Is that what
example,
you were
there
gonna
are
say? 'Cause I
6
agree.
levels of priority when reading from the SSD. Priority is very important. You can imagine the player heading into some new location in the world and the game requesting a few gigabytes of textures. And while those textures are being loaded, an enemy is shot and has to speak a few dying words. Having multiple priority levels lets the audio for those dying words get loaded immediately. On one side, that flash controller connects to the actual flash dies that supply the storage. To reach our bandwidth target of 5 gigabytes a second, we ended up with a 12-channel interface. 8 channels wouldn't be enough. The resulting bandwidth we've achieved is actually 5.5 gigabytes a second. With a 12-channel interface, the most natural size that emerges for an SSD is 825 gigabytes. The key question for us was, is that enough? I mean, it's tempting to add more, but Flash certainly doesn't come cheap, and we have a responsibility to our gaming audience to be cost-effective with regards to what we put in the console. Ultimately, we resolved this question by looking at the play patterns of a broad range of gamers. We examined the specific games that they were playing over the course of a weekend or a week or a month, and whether that set of games would fit properly
We're not
on
even
the
that far into the
SSD.
stream, to be
We
honest.
were able to establish
got a
that
lot
the
more to
friction
go,
caused
you
by
know.
reinstalls or redownloads would be quite low. And so we locked in on that 825 gigabyte size, while also
I know a lot
preparing
of people are
multiple
bored right now,
strategies so
but I
that
am on the
those
edge of
who
my
want
seat.
more storage
I'm-
can add it. I'll go through the
I actually
details in a
like
moment.
hearing about this stuff, to be honest.
Yeah,
Back to
all
the Flash
ways
controller.
it influences
On the
game
other
design, I
side,
think
it
it's
connects to our
fascinating.
main
dope,
custom
yeah.
chip via
As someone
4
who's
lanes
interested
of
in
Gen
game
4
design, not, like,
PCIe. And
just someone
inside the
who plays
main
video
custom
games.
chip is a
Right,
pretty hefty
So I get
unit
being
dedicated to
bored,
I/O.
but-
Before we talk about what that does, let's talk compression for a moment.
And
PlayStation
remember,
4
this was
used zlib as
this
its
was
compression
like
format.
supposed to be showing that
We
game
decided
developers
to use it
conference.
again on
So, and that's
PlayStation
really
5, but
why
on
is
my
he talking about
2017
Kraken?
tour of developers, I learned about a new format called Kraken from Rad Game Tools. It's like zlib's smarter cousin. Simple,
I think it's about
similar
compression.
types of
Okay,
algorithms,
gotcha.
but about 10%
But remember, like, this was
better
supposed to be showing that
compression, which
game
is
developers
pretty big.
conference,
That
so,
means
like,
10% more
this is supposed to be a
game
talk
on the
for game
UHD
devs
Blu-ray disc
specifically,
or
you
on
know?
the SSD. Kraken had only been out for a year, but it was already becoming a de facto industry standard. Half of the teams I talked to were either using it or getting ready to evaluate it. So we hustled and built a custom decompressor into the I/O unit, one capable of handling over 5 gigabytes of Kraken format input data a second. After decompression, that typically becomes 8 or 9 gigabytes, but the unit itself is capable of outputting as much as 22 gigabytes a second if the data happen to compress particularly well. By the way, in terms of performance, that custom decompressor equates to 9 of our Zen 2 cores. That's what it would take to decompress the Kraken stream with a conventional CPU. There's a lot more in the custom I/O unit, including a dedicated DMA controller. The game can direct exactly where it wants to send the data coming off of the SSD. This equates to another Zen 2 core or two in terms of its copy performance. Its primary purpose is to remove check-in as a bottleneck. There's 2
Shout out
dedicated
Omar
I/O
for the defensive
coprocessors and a
marks,
large
sorry.
RAM
Yeah,
pool.
LMAO.
These aren't Zen 2 cores. They're there principally to direct the variety of custom hardware around them. One of the
Our shining
coprocessors
king,
is dedicated to
Mark Cerny, our
SSD
shining
I/O.
king.
This lets us bypass traditional file I/O and its bottlenecks when reading from the SSD. The other is responsible for memory mapping, which I know doesn't sound like anything related to the SSD, but a lot of developers map and remap memory as part of flushing all of the GPU caches whenever the SSD is read is an unattractive option. It could really hurt the GPU performance. So you just indicate what data you'd like to read from your original uncompressed file and where you'd like to put it, and the whole process of loading it happens invisibly to you and at very high speed. Back to the dream. Thanks to all of that surrounding hardware, our 5.5 gigabytes a second really should translate into something like 100 times faster I/O than PS4 and allow the dream of no load screens and super fast streaming to become a reality. Having said that, expandability of our SSD is going to be quite important. Flash is costly, and you may very well want to add storage to whatever we put in the console. Now, the kind of storage you need depends on how you're going
People
to use
think
it.
I'm crazy,
If you
but I
have
think
an
it's only gonna be a
extensive
500
PlayStation
gig
4 library and you'd like to take
SSD.
advantage
I
of
hope it's
backwards
not, bro.
compatibility
I
to
mean,
play those
if
games
that's
on
what they
PlayStation
did to
5,
keep the cost down,
then
I
a
mean, by all
large
means, but-
external hard drive is ideal.
Shit.
You can leave your games on the
But
hard drive and play them
if
directly
games
from
are gonna
there,
be able to be
thus
smaller
saving
in
the
size,
pricier SSD
Fair.
storage for your PlayStation
Fair.
5
Yeah.
titles.
True.
Or you can copy your active PlayStation 4 titles to
Very,
the
very true.
SSD. If your purpose in adding more storage is to play PlayStation 5 titles, though, ideally you would add to your SSD storage. We will be supporting certain M2 SSDs. These are internal drives that you can get on the open market and install in a bay in the PlayStation 5.
Okay, so
As
they're
for
not
which ones
going
we
the
support
Xbox Series
and
X
when,
route,
I'll
where
get
it's
to that in a moment.
on the back.
They
you plug it
connect
in.
through
Okay,
the
we're
custom
still doing
I/O
internal
unit, just
switches.
like
Okay,
our
dope.
SSD
I see.
does. So they can take full advantage of the decompression,
surprising.
I/O coprocessors,
Yeah,
and
I
all
thought
the
they
other
would-
features I was talking
Because
about.
there was a patent that was similar to
Here's the catch,
Series
though.
X. thing,
That
but-
commercial drive has to be at least as fast as ours. Games that rely on the
Okay.
speed of our
I
SSD
see.
need to work flawlessly with any M2 drive.
That's fair.
When I gave the Wired interview last year, I said that the PlayStation 5 SSD was faster than anything available on PC. At the time, commercial M2 drives used PCIe 3.0, and 4 lanes of that cap out at 3.5 gigabytes a second. In other words, no PCIe 3.0 drive can hit the required spec. M2 drives with PCIe 4.0 are now out in the market. We're getting samples and seeing 4 or 5 gigabytes a second from them. By year's end, I expect there will be drives that saturate 4.0 and support 7 gigabytes a second. Having said that, we are comparing apples and oranges though, because that commercial M2 drive will have its own architecture, its own flash controller, and so on. For example, the NVMe specification lays out a priority scheme for requests that the M2 drives can use. And that scheme is pretty nice, but it only has 2 true priority levels. Our drive supports 6. We can hook up a drive with only 2 priority levels, definitely, but our custom I/O unit has to arbitrate the extra priorities rather than the M2 drive's flash controller. And so the M2 drive needs a little extra speed to take care of issues arising from the different approach. That commercial drive also needs to physically fit inside of the bay we created in PlayStation 5
I was trying to
for
copy
M2
and
drives.
paste refresh stream
Unlike
in the
internal
chat. I
hard
almost put the
drives,
stream key.
there's unfortunately no
chat.
standard
So
for the
weird.
height
That
of
was
an
still in the
M2 drive,
clipboard.
and some M2
Oh,
drives have
fuck, that would've
giant
been
heat
bad.
sinks. In fact, some of them even have their own
Yikes.
fans. Right now, we're getting M2 drive samples and benchmarking them in various ways. When games hit beta as they get ready for the PlayStation 5 launch at year end, we'll also be doing some compatibility testing to make sure that the architecture of particular M2 drives isn't too foreign for the games to handle. Once we've done that compatibility testing, we should be able to start letting you know which drives will physically fit and which drive samples have benchmarked appropriately high in our testing. It would be great if that happened by launch, but it's likely to be a bit past it. So please hold off on getting that M2 drive until you hear from us. Okay, back to our principles. Balancing
reason
evolution and
I think it's
revolution
500
is the
gigs
second of them. This was
100% now
definitely
is
a
because I
recurring
spent that much
theme
time talking
with
about
the GPU.
expanding the size.
You have a
We
very, very
need
solid.
new
Damn, it
GPU
really is
features and
500,
capabilities.
huh?
If
Fuck.
If we only have
I
more
guess you're right.
performance,
But hey,
it's not really a
if-
new generation of console.
If I understand him,
Of course, many of these capabilities result
maybe
in
Red
more
Dead 2 won't be
performance.
100
That's
gigs.
part of why
Yeah.
a PlayStation 5
If they
teraflop is
choose
more
to
powerful than a PlayStation 4
re-optimize it.
teraflop.
Right.
But we aren't just looking for the performance. We also need the ability to do something with the GPU that could not have been done before. And we need higher performance per watt. Every time we double the performance of some GPU component, we don't want to find out we've doubled the power
I'm probably just
consumed
gonna buy
and the heat produced.
like 2
But at the
terabyte
same
SSD
time, we
that's
have to
compatible
make sure
with
the
it, that has
GPU
the
can
same
run
speed and stuff like
PS4
that
games.
as I buy my PS5.
And we have
be
to
honest.
ensure that the architecture is
I mean, he
easy
just
for the
said they're not
developers
gonna
to adopt.
know really
Now,
if
backwards
like, what
compatibility
works
was
by
handled
launch,
masterfully
probably.
by AMD.
Oh, fuck.
They treated it
Okay,
as a
maybe I
key
won't,
need
but-
throughout
So
the
maybe-
design process.
Yeah, maybe that's like a
As our
tax day
solution to adding new
2021
features
purchase.
without blindsiding developers, we made sure that if there were new significant features, it would be optional to use them. The GPU supports ray tracing, but you don't have to use ray tracing to make your game. The GPU supports primitive shaders, but you can release your first game on PlayStation 5 without making any use of them. Before I get into the capabilities of the GPU, I'd like to make clear 2 points that can be quite confusing. First, we have a custom AMD GPU based on their RDNA 2 technology. What does that mean? AMD is continuously improving and revising their tech. For RDNA 2, their goals were, roughly speaking, to reduce power consumption by re-architecting the GPU to put data close to where it's needed, to optimize the GPU for performance, and to add a new, more advanced feature set. But that feature set is malleable, which is to say that we have our own needs for PlayStation, and that can factor into what the AMD roadmap becomes. So collaboration is born. If we bring concepts to AMD that are felt to be widely useful, then they can be adopted in producing technology useful in both worlds. It doesn't mean that we as Sony simply incorporated the PC part into our console. This continuous improvement in AMD technology means it's dangerous to rely on teraflops as an absolute
Downstream
indicator
problems.
of performance.
Yeah.
And CU count
It's all
should
good,
be
though.
avoided as
We
well.
just fix it, we're good.
In the case of CPUs, we all understand this. The PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 each have 8 CPUs, but we never think that meant the capabilities and performance are equal.
We back.
It's the same for CUs. For one thing, they've been getting much larger over time. adding new features means adding lots of transistors.
They're like, stop talking about
In
teraflops.
fact,
It
the
doesn't
transistor
matter.
count for a PlayStation 5 CU is 62% larger than the transistor count for a PlayStation 4 CU. Second, the PlayStation 5 GPU is backwards compatible with PlayStation 4. What does that mean? One way you can achieve backwards compatibility is to put the previous console's chipset in the new console, like we did with some PlayStation 3s. But that's, of course, extremely expensive. A better way is to incorporate any differences in the previous console's logic into the new console's custom chips, meaning that even as the technology evolves, the logic and feature set that PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 4 Pro titles rely on is still available in backwards compatibility modes. One advantage of this strategy is that once backwards compatibility is in the console, it's in. It's not as if a cost down will remove backwards compatibility like it did on PlayStation 3.
That's a good point.
Achieving this unification of functionality took years of efforts by AMD, as any roadmap advancement creates a potential divergence in logic. Running PS4 and PS4 titles at boosted frequencies has also added complexity. The boost is truly massive this time around, and some game code just can't handle it. Testing has to be done on a title-by-title basis. Results are excellent, though. We recently took a look at the top 100 PlayStation 4 titles as ranked by playtime, and we're expecting almost all of them to be playable at launch on PlayStation 5.
Nice.
Okay.
With regards to new features, as I said, our strategy was to try to break
does
new
sound like
ground,
they'd have to make sure
but
it
at the
doesn't,
same
like, break
time
the
not
game.
to require use of the new
With how
GPU
fast it can be now.
capabilities.
Right.
For more than a decade, GPUs have imposed a restriction on game engines. Software handles
I mean, the way
vertex
he worded
processing,
that
but
was like,
for the most
yeah,
part, dedicated hardware is
respond to
responsible
Blackbear
for the triangles
in the
and
chat,
other
like, yeah,
geometry
he
that the vertices
said the top
form.
100 games
That
of
means it's
rated
not
playtime, I
possible to
think.
do even
Almost
basic
all of them work.
optimizations, such as
Currently.
aborting processing of a vertex if all geometry that uses it is off-screen. PlayStation 5 has a new unit called the Geometry
Knack
Engine, which
is in
brings
the top
handling of
100
triangles
playtime.
and other primitives under full
If Mark Cerny
programmatic
has something to do
control.
about it, it
As a
definitely
game
is.
developer, you're free to ignore its existence
If it's
and use
not,
the
I bet it's the
PlayStation 5
100 most
GPU
played
as if it were no
PlayStation
more
games
capable
and
than the
both Knacks.
PS4 GPU, or you can use this new
102
intelligence
games
in
at
various
launch.
ways.
102 games.
Simple usage could be performance optimization, such as removing backfaced or off-screen vertices and triangles. More complex usage involves something called primitive shaders, which allow the game to synthesize geometry on the fly as it's being rendered. It's a brand new capability. Using primitive shaders on PlayStation 5 will allow for a broad variety of techniques, including smoothly varying level of detail, addition of procedural detail to close-up objects, and improvements to particle effects and other visual special effects. Another major new feature of our custom RDNA 2-based
Apparently we have
GPU
a
is
size
ray
for the
tracing,
storage.
using the same strategy as AMD's
Wait,
upcoming
officially?
PC GPUs. The
Wario
CUs
64
contain
quote
a new
tweeted it
specialized unit called the intersection
from
engine, which
some
can
article.
calculate the intersection of
I'm
rays
looking,
with
I'm
boxes
looking.
and triangles. To use the
much we got?
intersection
100,
engine, first you build what is called an
25?
acceleration structure.
Wait, what?
It's data in RAM that contains
A
all of
custom
your geometry.
825 gigabyte
There's a
SSD.
specific set of formats you can use.
Okay, so
They're
that's a terabyte,
variations
but-
on the same BVH
Yeah,
concept.
I see what you mean.
Then, in your shader program,
Interesting.
you use
Wait,
a
why
new
can't I see it?
instruction
I'm
that
sharing it
asks
with
the
you.
intersection engine to check a ray against the BVH. While the intersection engine is processing the requested ray triangle or ray box intersections, the shaders are free to do other work. Having said that, the ray tracing instruction is pretty memory intensive, so it's a good mix with logic-heavy code. There's of course no need to use ray tracing. PS4 graphics engines will run just fine on PlayStation 5, but it presents an opportunity for those interested. I'm thinking it'll take less than 1 million rays a second to have a big impact on audio. That should be enough for audio occlusion and some reverb calculations. With a bit more of the GPU invested in ray tracing, it should be possible to do
Yeah,
some very
HMO
nice
SSD, okay.
global illumination.
I see.
Having said that, adding ray-traced shadows and reflections to a traditional graphics engine could easily take hundreds of millions of rays a second, and full ray tracing could take billions. How far can we go? I'm starting to get quite bullish. I've already seen a PlayStation 5 title that's successfully using ray tracing-based reflections in complex animated scenes with only modest costs. Another set of issues for the GPU
Don't do
involved
that.
size and frequency. How big
least
do
in
we
the
make
studio.
the GPU? And what frequency do we run
Tell
at?
me it's Spider-Man
This
2.
is a balancing act. The chip
We've
has a
seen
cost, and there's a cost
Insomniac
for whatever
games,
we use
Spider-Man
to
2.
supply that chip with power.
Running in full
and
ray
Reflection in the
tracing.
windows.
In general, I
Mind
like running the GPU at
Can
higher
you imagine what's
frequency.
gonna
Let me
look
show you why.
look like when like Peter or
Here's two
or,
possible
you know what? Let me not say
configurations
that out
for a
loud in case
GPU
someone-
roughly
anyone
at the
plays
level
Spider-Man.
of the
Anyone that has
PlayStation
played
4
Spider-Man.
Pro.
But
This is a thought
you know,
experiment.
Peter
Don't take these configurations
running
too
on the side of a
seriously.
building and you see his
If you
reflection all
just
nice and stuff like that
calculate
with ray
teraflops,
tracing,
you get the same
dude,
number.
That's
But
gonna be
actually, the
dope. That's gonna
performance
look
is
good,
noticeably
bro.
different because teraflops is defined as the computational capability of the vector ALU. That's just one part of the GPU. There are a lot of other units. And those other units all run faster when the GPU frequency is higher. At 33% higher frequency, rasterization goes 33% faster. Processing the command buffer goes that much faster. The L2 and other caches have that much higher bandwidth, and so on. About the only downside is that system memory is 33% further away in terms of cycles. But the large number of benefits more than counterbalance that. As a friend of mine says, a rising tide lifts all boats. Also, it's easier to fully use 36 CUs in parallel than it is to fully use 48 CUs. When triangles are small, it's much harder to fill all those CUs with useful work. So there's a lot to be said for faster, assuming you can handle the resulting power and heat issues, which frankly, we haven't always done the best job at. Part of the reason for
I would
that
love
is,
to give a
historically,
speech at
our
this
process
exact
for setting
setup that
CPU and
he's at,
GPU frequencies has relied on some
telling the
heavy-duty
intricacies of
guesswork with
Uncharted
regards
3
to
and
how
how I
much
think it might be better
electrical
than
power
Uncharted
games
2.
will consume
I'm just gonna say
and how
that.
much heat will be produced as a
I'm just
result
gonna say that,
inside of the
right?
console.
I think
Power consumption
Uncharted 3
varies a
might be better than
lot from
Uncharted
game
2.
to game.
But
When
that-
I play
that's
God
gonna
of
say
War
that
on
with
my
the size of the
PS4
chat
Pro,
we have now.
I know the power consumption is high
Guys,
just by the fan noise.
I think y'all
But
should play
power
Uncharted 2
isn't
and
simply
Uncharted back to
about
back
engine
and just come
quality.
back to me with that.
It's about
right?
the minutia of what's being
Let me know,
displayed and
because
how.
Uncharted 3 might be
It's
better.
counterintuitive, but processing dense geometry typically consumes less power than processing simple geometry, which is, I suspect, why Horizon's map screen, with its low triangle count, makes my PS4 Pro heat up so much. Our process on previous
Horizon, you
consoles has
say?
been to
I'm
try
sorry,
and
hello,
guess
excuse
what
me?
the maximum power consumption during the entire console lifetime might be, which is to say, the worst case scene in the worst case game, and prepare a cooling solution that we think will be quiet at that power level. If we get it right, fan noise is minimal. If we get it wrong, the console will be quite loud for the higher power games, and there's even a
Very
chance that
loud.
it might overheat and shut down if we
Very,
misestimate
very loud,
power
sir.
too badly.
Very loud.
PlayStation
Isn't that
5
how,
is
Yellow
especially
Death went
challenging because
on
the
PS3
CPU
overheating?
supports
Yeah,
256-bit
yeah.
native instructions that consume a lot of power.
I had
These
a
are
Yellow
great
Death
here and
PS3
there,
actually.
but presumably only
Hopefully
minimally
no
used.
more jet
Or
engine
are they?
lumbar,
If
I
we
agree.
plan for
But yeah,
major
I had a Yellow Light of
256-bit
Death.
instruction
I actually
usage,
fixed it.
we need to set the CPU clock substantially lower or
I, like,
noticeably
took off the
increase
casing
the
of it
size
and like
of the
just
power supply. and
got
fan.
one of those air cans.
So after much
sprayed the hell out
discussion,
of
we
it for a little
decided to
bit,
go
let it
with a
kinda
very
sit,
different
and then it worked.
direction on PlayStation 5.
Yes.
We built a GPU with 36 CUs. Mind you, RDNA 2 CUs are large. Each has 62% more transistors than the CUs we were using on PlayStation 4. So if we compare transistor counts, 36 RDNA 2 CUs equates to roughly 58 PlayStation 4 CUs. It is a fairly sizable GPU. Then we went with a variable frequency strategy for PlayStation 5, which is to say we continuously run the GPU and CPU in boost mode. We supply a generous amount of electrical power and then increase the frequency of GPU and CPU until they reach the
A
capabilities of the
generous
system's
amount of
cooling
electrical
solution.
power. I don't know
It's
why I
a
love that.
completely different
but I
paradigm.
kind of love that.
Rather than running at constant frequency and letting power vary based on the workload, we run at essentially constant power and let the frequency vary based on the workload. We then tackled the engineering challenge of a cost-effective and high-performance cooling solution designed for that specific power level. In some ways, it becomes a simpler problem because there are no more unknowns. There's no need to guess what power consumption the worst-case game might have. As for the details of the cooling solution, we're saving them for our teardown. I think you'll be quite happy with what the engineering team came up with.
Our teardown. Okay.
So
You think
how
it's
fast
liquid cooling?
can we run the GPU and CPU with this strategy? The simplest approach would be to look at the actual temperature of the silicon die and throttle the frequency on that basis. But that
Xbox
won't
didn't
work.
do that,
It
right?
fails to create a consistent
Liquid cooling on
PlayStation
Series
5
X?
experience.
I remember.
It
I know
wouldn't
one
do
of them
to
has
run a
liquid cooling.
console
I think it's
slower
Series X,
simply
actually.
because it was in a hot room.
I'm pretty sure the Series X has
So
liquid
rather than
cooling, I
look at
think.
the actual temperature of the silicon die,
That's an
we
Omar
look
question.
at the
Omar, does
activities
your
that the
One X have
GPU
liquid
and
cooling?
CPU are performing and set the frequencies on that
If
basis,
not, do you know if
which
Series
makes
X does?
everything deterministic and repeatable. While we're at it, we also use AMD's Smart Shift technology and send any unused power from the CPU to the GPU so it can squeeze out a few more pixels. The benefits of this strategy are quite large. Running a GPU at 2 gigahertz was looking like an unreachable target with the old fixed frequency strategy. With this new paradigm, we're able to run way over that. In fact, we have to cap the GPU frequency at 2.23 gigahertz so that we can guarantee that the on-chip logic operates properly. 36 CUs at 2.23 gigahertz is 10.3 teraflops, and we expect the GPU to spend most of its time at or close to that frequency and performance. Similarly, running the CPU at 3 gigahertz was causing headaches with the old strategy. But now we can run it as high as 3.5 gigahertz. In fact, it spends most of its time at that frequency. That doesn't mean all games will be running at 2.23 gigahertz and 3.5 gigahertz. When that worst-case game arrives, it will run at a lower clock speed, but not too much lower. To reduce power by 10%, it only takes a couple of percent reduction in frequency, so I'd expect any downclocking to be pretty minor. All things considered, the change to a variable frequency approach will show significant gains for PlayStation gamers. The final of our 3 principles was about finding new dreams. It's important for us on the hardware team to find new ways to expand or deepen gaming, and that's what led us to a focus on 3D audio. As players, we experience the game through the visuals, through audio, and through the feedback we receive from the controller, such as rumble or haptics. Personally, I feel a game is just dead without audio. Visuals are, of course, important, but the impact of audio is huge as well. At the same time, the audio team on a game project has to do a lot with a
it's like,
little.
wait, hey man.
For
I'll tell you
example,
something.
on
Look,
PlayStation
Division
4, there's
2, you
fierce
can pop on a
competition for the
podcast and
Jaguar
have as
CPU
much
core.
of a
Audio
great time
typically ends
without
up getting
the
just a
audio.
fraction.
But yes,
of the
audio is
core.
important. But yeah,
That's not
there's definitely
much
some
of a
podcast games out
computational
there that are like,
resource,
oof.
particularly when you
I'm just
consider that the visuals run at 30 or 60 frames a second, but audio processing needs to happen at almost 200 times a second. So it's been tough going making forward progress on audio with PlayStation 4, particularly when PlayStation 3 was such a beast when it came to audio. The SPUs in Cell were almost a perfect device for audio rendering. Simple pipelined algorithms could really take advantage of asynchronous DMA and frequently reached 100% utilization of the floating point unit. There's unfortunately nothing comparable on PlayStation 4. Probably the most dramatic progress in the PlayStation 4 generation has been with virtual reality. The PSVR hardware has its own audio unit. It supports about 50 pretty decent 3D sound sources. And this provided a hint as to where we could go with audio, as well as some valuable experience. Not to oversimplify, but here were our goals for audio on PlayStation 5. The first goal was great audio for everyone, not just VR users or soundbar owners or headphone users. That meant audio had to be part of the console. It couldn't be a peripheral. The second goal was to support hundreds of sound sources. We didn't want developers to have to pick and choose what sounds would get 3D effects and which wouldn't. We wanted every sound in the game to have dimensionality.
I think it's called Wise, I believe.
And finally, we wanted to really take on the challenges of presence and locality. Now, when we say presence, we mean the feeling that you're actually there. You've entered the matrix. It's not, of course, something we thought we could perfectly achieve, but the idea was that if we stopped using just a rain sound and instead used lots of 3D audio sources for raindrops hitting the ground at all sorts of locations around you, then at some point your brain would take a leap and you'd begin to have this feeling,
Matrix, guys.
this feeling of real presence
Honestly, I
inside
bet
the
Mark
virtual
Cerny's a
world
huge
of the
Matrix
game.
fan because
This
PSVR
has
was
the
codenamed
capacity
Morpheus.
to affect your appreciation of the game,
He is,
just
bro.
like music
And the
in a
Pro
game
was
does.
Neo. Remember
The
that?
concept of
Oh,
locality
you're
is
right.
simple.
You're right. Yeah,
it's
you're
just
right.
your sense of where the audio is coming from. To the
Christian,
right of
would
you,
it surprise
behind
you
you,
that I've never
above
seen
you.
Matrix?
This can immerse you further
first
in the
one's
game,
great.
and it can also
I
directly
recommend it. Holds
enhance
up.
the gameplay.
I hear good things. I hear good things.
To use Dead Space as an example, I know, old school. You're fighting enemies in fairly
How dare
dark,
you.
spooky locations.
Spooky.
Back in the day, if you played the game using the TV speakers, you could tell that there was
Where's
one
the
last
Kumi
enemy
Nakamura
growling
eater?
and hunting
Come
you
on,
down,
bring
but
her
it was
out.
difficult to tell quite where that enemy was. With headphones, you could tell that the enemy was somewhere on the
Matrix
right, which
Online.
let you deduce, if you
If they
couldn't
made a
see it,
Matrix
that
MMO,
it must
I'd
be
be in.
somewhere behind and to your right. But with 3D audio with good locality, the idea is you know the enemy is precisely
I would like to hope that
there,
they're showing
and you
Dead Space
turn and you take
for
it
a
out.
particular reason, but I really
So,
doubt it. but
how
I
do
would
we
love to
know
see
where
it.
sound is coming from in the first place? Well, all those bumps and folds in the ear have a
Yeah,
meaning,
because like they could have used
evolutionarily
RE2.
speaking.
They could have been like
Based
an
on what
RE2
direction
zombie.
the sound is coming
good
from,
point.
You don't know
sound
it's
waves
right
bounce
behind your
around
shoulder.
inside the
They've
ear,
had a lot of
there's
different-
some
yeah,
constructive
very
and
right.
destructive interference, and the result is a change in volume. The phase of the sound also shifts, depending on what path the sound wave took to reach the ear canal. These volume changes and phase shifts are different for each direction and also vary depending on the frequency of the sound. Head size and head shape also impact the sound in a similar fashion.
All you big heads.
The way that the sound changes based on direction and frequency can be encoded in a table called the Head-Related Transfer Function, or HRTF. Here's part of one. The vertical
myself,
axis is
what?
the frequency. The horizontal axis is the direction, front, back, left, right, and the color gives the degree of attenuation of the sound at that frequency. The HRTF is as unique to an individual as a fingerprint is. In fact, you're looking at mine right now. Here's how we measure an HRTF. We've taken hundreds of people through this process. We put a microphone in the subject's left and right ear canals, and then sit the subject
human.
down in the middle of an array of 22 speakers.
It kind of
We then play an audio sweep
think it
from
is.
each speaker
It doesn't
as we
look like him
rotate
from
the
here, though, but
subject.
it kinda looks
In the
like him.
course of 10 or 20 minutes,
looks
we're
like
able
Sid's
to sample
brother.
the HRTF
If, like, he the brother, that'd be
at
Sid's
over
brother.
1,000 locations.
It looks slightly like
Using an HRTF
More
for
than
rendering
slightly.
audio
Human.
creates unparalleled quality, but it's computationally
Sod's
expensive.
so he's-
The simplest way to
Todd.
use an HRTF
Todd.
is to process a sound source to make it appear as if it's coming from one of those 1,000 locations we sample. Unfortunately, the processing has to be done in frequency domain rather than time domain, so there's multiple fast Fourier transforms needed for every sound source for every audio tick. That's a lot of multiplies. This computational complexity was the determining factor for our strategy. It meant we had to bite the bullet and design and build a custom hardware unit for 3D audio. Collectively, we're referring to the hardware unit and the proprietary algorithms we run on it as Tempest 3D Audio Tech.
Holy
The meaning
shit,
of
that sounds dope
3D
as fuck.
audio and technology should be pretty obvious here. As for Tempest, I feel it really reflects our goals with audio. It suggests a certain intensity of experience and also hints at your presence within it. We're calling the hardware unit that we built the Tempest Engine. It's based on AMD's GPU technology. We modified a compute unit in such a way as to make it very close to the SPUs in PlayStation 3. Remember when I said that they were ideal for audio? So the Tempest Engine has no caches, just like an SPU. All data access is via DMA, just like an SPU. Our target was that it would have more power than a CPU, thanks to the parallelism that a GPU can achieve, and that it would be more efficient than our GPU, thanks to the SPU-like architecture. The goal being to make possible near 100% utilization of the CU's vector units. Where we ended up is a unit with roughly the same SIMD power and bandwidth as all 8 Jaguar cores in the PlayStation 4 combined. If we were to use the same algorithms as PSVR, that's enough for something like 5,000 sound sources. But of course, we want to use more complex algorithms, and we don't need anything like that number of sounds. It would have been wonderful if a simpler strategy, such as using Dolby Atmos peripherals, could have achieved our goals, but we wanted 3D audio for all, not just those with licensed soundbars or the like. Also, we wanted many hundreds of sound sources, not just the 32 that Atmos supports. And finally, we wanted to be able to throw an overwhelming
Shit on
amount of
Dolby
processing
Atmos.
power at the problem. And it wasn't clear
think
what
Dolby's
any
good?
peripheral might have
Buy
inside.
PS5.
You're like, hey
In
guys,
fact,
listen.
with the Tempest
fuck
Engine,
Dolby Atmos.
we've
Sorry.
even got enough power that we can allocate some to the games, to the extent that games want to make use of convolution reverb and other algorithms that are either computationally expensive or need high bandwidth. But the primary purpose of the Tempest Engine remains 3D audio. Now, 3D audio is a major academic research topic. It's safe to say that no one in the world has all of the answers. And the set of algorithms that has to be invented, tuned, or implemented to realize our vision for 3D audio is immense. For example, use of HRTFs in games is quite complex. Before, I talked about making a sound source appear as if it's coming from one of those 1,000
He's a
HRTF
very good speaker,
sampling
actually.
locations.
I think that
But for
that's
high
not being
quality
stated
3D
as much
game
as it
audio,
should be right now.
we have to
You know?
handle other possibilities.
Cerny's a professional.
The sound
Oh,
source might
100%.
not be at one of the 1,000 HRTF sample locations, so we have to blend the HRTF data from the
He
closest
only takes the
locations that we
stage
have
once
sampled.
in a while.
The sound source
Very
might
true,
be
and he
moving,
fucking-
which
when he
means
does, he goes
very
off.
special
Fucking
handling as
kills
that
it.
blend keeps changing, and that can cause
Literally
phase
murders.
artifacts in the resulting audio. Or the sound source might have a size to it, meaning it should feel as if it's coming from an area rather than a single point. There's also whole categories of approaches to be handled. 3D audio can be implemented using individual processing of 3D sound sources. But alternatively, ambisonics can be used for 3D audio. Ambisonics being somewhat like the spherical harmonics used in computer graphics. And finally, there's audio devices. The player might be using headphones or TV speakers or have a higher-end surround sound setup with 6 or more speakers, all of which need different approaches. That's a lot of variations. It's nice to have the computational resources of the Tempest Engine, but it's clear that achieving our ultimate goals with 3D audio is going to be a multi-year, step-by-step process. Having said that, headphone audio implementation is largely complete at this time. It was a natural place for us to start. With headphones, we control exactly what each ear hears, and therefore the algorithmic development and implementation are more straightforward. For TV speakers and stereo speakers, we're in the process of implementing virtual surround sound. The idea being that if you're sitting in a sweet spot in front of the TV, then the sound can be made to feel as if it's coming from any direction, even behind you. Virtual surround sound has a lot in common with 3D audio on headphones, but it's more complex because the left ear can hear the right speaker and vice versa. We have a basic implementation of virtual surround sound up and running. We're now looking at increasing the size of that sweet spot, which is to say, making the area you need to be in to feel the 3D effect larger. And we're also working to boost the sense of locality.
I wonder if they're going to use
Headphone
like, the
audio
camera
is the
to
current
like
gold
help
standard
you,
for 3D audio
like,
on PlayStation 5.
you know,
but we're going to see
gauge
what we
your
can do to
personal
bring
sweet spot at
virtual
your personal
surround
setup,
sound to
you
a
know?
similar
Maybe.
level, after which
I don't know
we'll
how
start in
difficult
on
that would be
setups
to
with
do
more
via
speakers,
just the
such as
camera, but-
6-channel surround sound. It's now to the point where some of the PlayStation 5 games in development are extensively using these systems. One of the game demos allows you to toggle between conventional PlayStation 4 style stereo audio and our new 3D audio. I listened with just an ordinary pair of over-the-ear headphones and wow, I could feel a difference. 3D audio has that dimensional feel to it. Conventional stereo audio feels
you're gonna show us
smashed
a demo?
flat by
Or,
comparison.
you gonna-
The improvement
You can
is
tell us
obvious.
what,
So, a big
what ga-
advancement, but
what game
have
it is?
I entered the matrix? Does my brain believe I'm really there, like I was talking about earlier when I explained our target of presence? Well, the answer is no, but you've probably caught on to what's missing here, namely whose HRTF was being used. It wasn't mine, it was the default HRTF. The audio team analyzed the hundreds that they measured and chose the one they felt was the closest fit to the total game-playing audience. This shows a piece of the default HRTF on the left and my HRTF on the right. You can see that the general features are much the same, but the details are quite different. With the default HRTF, as I said, the 3D audio sounds pretty great. When I use my HRTF, though, the audio reaches a higher level of realism, which is to say that when using headphones and my HRTF, I occasionally get fooled and even think a sound is coming from the real world when it's actually coming from the game. A corollary to this is that there are a few people whose HRTFs are sufficiently far from the default HRTF, that's the red dot here, that they can toggle between PS4 style and PS5 style audio and not sense much difference. I've had a few people describe the PlayStation 5's 3D audio as sounding like a bit better stereo audio. Presumably they're the ones at the very edges of this diagram. Which means what HRTF you're using is key. I'd like everyone to be able to experience what I'm experiencing, but obviously it's not possible to measure the HRTF of every PlayStation user. That means HRTF selection and synthesis are going to be big topics going forward as the Tempest technology matures. At PlayStation 5 launch, we'll be offering a choice of 5 HRTFs. There's a simple test where you pick the one that gives you the best locality. That's just the first step, though. This is an open-ended research topic. Maybe you'll be sending us a photo of your ear, and we'll choose a neural network to pick the closest HRTF
I'm
in your
not
library.
sending a picture of my ear.
Maybe you'll be sending us a video
That's
of your
not-
ears
You need to
and
subscribe
your
to my
head,
OnlyFans
and we'll make
for
a
that, sir.
3D
Yeah,
model
sir,
of them and synthesize
there's a
the
link in my
HRTF.
description.
Maybe
So
you'll
no.
play an audio game to tune your HRTF. We'll be subtly changing it as you play and home in on the HRTF that gives you
Honestly,
the highest
I'm
score.
capping. I think I
meaning
might.
that it matches
Like,
you.
if they actually offered it, I
This
think
is
I might
a
just try it.
journey we'll all
Screw
be
it.
taking together over the next
Take my
few
ear,
years.
PlayStation, that's
Ultimately, we're committing to enabling everyone to experience that next level of realism. Hopefully, I've been able to illustrate a bit about our design and decision-making process today and why PlayStation 5 has the feature set that it does. Now comes the fun part. We get to see how the development community takes advantage of that feature set. I'm hoping for the completely unexpected. Will it come from audio, ray tracing, the capabilities of the SSD, or something else? I guess we'll find out soon enough. Thank you for your time today.
Well, how we feel about it, boys? Huh?
Very interesting. I think the focus on capabilities and the potential avenues to go makes me hopeful. The SSD highlighting what it's gonna like do best, I think was really good because a lot of people don't get why SSD is important, and odds are, if you're watching this, you might. You know, if you're watching a GDC conference, you probably know why an SSD works and why it does well. But seeing that they're taking advantage of that, seeing that they're like, I guess the results of that purchase of that 3D audio company,
Yeah.
it's cool to see that that's where the focus is right now with the messaging. Like, PS5 is about immersion, and it's a nice reassurance to know that there are going to be PS4 games available at launch. So like, if I wanted to play Spider-Man or God of War on my PS5 with all these extra performance enhancers, I'm gonna be able to. Because odds are those fall under the top 100. But yeah, it's interesting to see where their priorities lie as far as what they're selling as making this next gen, where Xbox is like focusing on the services, you know,
Right.
and PlayStation's focusing on like, this is why it's time for our next generation. This is why we can't stay on PS4 anymore, and this is what the developers that make games for us is going to be focused in on.
Yeah.
And I guess what Omar just brought up about the PS4 not being 100%, yeah, I see that. It's weird, but also the way he was describing it of like kind of what happened with the PS4 Pro, of like, I think Final Fantasy 15, when it got its PS4 Pro boost, it ran worse on Pro because the Pro just added those features. I know Omar knows about this, but like, for people that don't, it's not as simple as just popping a game in and then it gets all the added features, you know?
Right.
Like, it would, the onus would be on the developers to make sure their game can function with the new features, and if they don't, it's just gonna fall apart if you put in like, say the Order 1886, you pop that in on a PS5 because I don't think that's in the top 100 most played.
You would
It's
imagine.
probably gonna
Yeah.
probably gonna be a mess.
Yeah,
you know?
right. I see.
So what about you? Where are you standing?
I mean, overall, I know a lot of people are gonna like. We can see the chat already on the PlayStation stream over here. I know a lot of people are probably gonna walk away not enjoying this, but I actually enjoyed it a lot. I like them because it was more of like, at least from what it felt to me, it felt more of like an extended like Wired.com interview that he did in terms of like, let's just talk the tech and let's go in and like see why we're making these choices for this hardware and why we're, you know, doubling down on certain things like audio and stuff like that and etc. I personally liked it a lot because it was something to get out now to get kind of you anticipated for the changes that you will see in software when they show that, you know, like that's where I think that this was successful at. But I know, you know, a lot of people were expecting, you know, certain games to be shown, etc. Yeah. But again,
And I think that's fair.
Right. Yeah, definitely fair. Yeah. Definitely fair.
I think it's fair to be let down, but again, like you said at the top of this whole thing, this was a GDC presentation.
Yeah.
I think this is the week GDC was supposed to happen.
It was. Yeah.
So, yeah. I know it probably wasn't a very entertaining presentation for many people, but like you just said, basically, the contents of it is going to make the PS5 games the PS5 games.
Right,
you know?
right. Like, I feel like this was the necessary context. I think that's what you exactly said, actually, and I'm just going to repeat you. Is that, do you say contents or context?
I guess either works.
Yeah. Like,
set the context for like what the devs are working with, and then get an expectation of what the content's going to be like.
Yeah. I agree. We got overall PS5 may lose on hardware, but PS5 wins on qualities. Good chat right there. What else we got? Okay, when will the real PS5 event be announced? Like, well, I mean, the PS5 is announced, but in terms of like, yeah, like when's the event? Like in terms of software, I don't think we get anything until maybe May. You know?
Yeah.
Because I mean, we're gonna start ramping up in terms of Last of Us Part 2, Iron Man VR still has to come out. You know, I think we won't get anything until around May or June. You know, of like games at least. You know, whether it's like because they came out. Well, it was actually PlayStation's Japanese account said yesterday that this was a part of GDC originally, but then you know, it got taken down mysteriously. So considering that, like, it seems like they're wanting to line up with on track of what they were going to do anyway, in spite of the pandemic, right?
Yeah.
So it seems to me like they're definitely still on the course of being calculated in terms of how they're dripping this information down to us.
Yeah.
But
and
so maybe yeah.
I also think if you want to compare it to Xbox, because I know people will, Xbox is playing almost an entirely different game now after this last generation, where they're not even like pushing you to buy a Series X at launch, you know?
Yeah,
because
yeah.
Halo Infinite, I think they've said is their launch game.
Yeah.
You and I, if we wanted to, we could each buy a 1X right now and play that game and still have a fine time with it, you know? So like the way they're sending their messages out, the way they're focusing on services and expanding the audience of Xbox and talking about their studios, I think is the thing they have to be doing right now, where PlayStation, I think for a lot of people, myself included, it didn't really feel like it was time for next gen when the rumblings started.
Yeah.
But this is them making their case for it, I think, where Xbox has been like, hey, we're giving you more options now. Yeah, it's next gen, but like we're just giving you more more ways to play our games, and PlayStation is like, here's why we need you to buy a new console.
Right.
You know?
Right. It like feels like Xbox is selling a platform nowadays and trying to sell an ecosystem as opposed to PlayStation, who's still trying to sell as a PS5. You know, and like showing us, all right, these are the benefits of X, you know, Y and Z console. Like Microsoft is still showing you the benefits of Series X, but they're not like, how do I put this? Like they're still emphasizing like Game Pass and emphasizing like the Xbox family of suites and how you can play Xbox games on PC and Xbox games on Series S and Xbox One X and stuff like that. No, wait, not Series S. Xbox One S, excuse me. Series S doesn't exist yet. Yeah, right. But as for, let's see here, I want to read some what people are saying. Do you guys think that the system may get delayed to next year?
I do.
Now I do. If you asked me like 2 weeks ago, I would have probably said there's maybe like a slim chance, but hopefully not. Now I would wager probably, yeah.
Yeah, that's a completely different conversation, I think, but like I still think we've just seen the beginnings of what this whole pandemic is going to do to this industry.
Yeah.
So get prepared for lots of delays, lots of game delays, and I think PS5 and probably Series X are going to fall into that as well.
Yeah.
Especially if this doesn't clear up by like end of April, I think it's very likely.
Yeah. We shall see. Let me see. As for the console war between Xbox Series X and the PS5, I think both will end up with a tie, despite Xbox Series X takes more advantage than PS5. Interesting. I mean,
Yeah. Go ahead.
Actually, I forgot what I was gonna say, so you can just go ahead. I forgot what I was gonna say.
I was gonna say I think it's kind of what we were just talking about of Xbox trying to sell an ecosystem where I think even if the Series X doesn't sell gangbusters at launch, which I'm assuming the hardcore will, I don't think that's where Xbox is going to be focused on. You know, I don't think they're going to judge the metric of success based on how well the Series X sells in its first year on the shelves. Like,
I agree. Yeah.
It's probably going to be the number of subscribers to Gold and the number of Game Pass subscribers and the number of concurrent players on Halo Infinite across all the different Xbox systems, you know, because I might even buy an Xbox One S to play Halo Infinite or something. I don't know yet.
Yeah, I'm really thinking about it in terms of like if they roll out that all digital console, you know, like I might grab that and Game Pass and just have that as like my backup. Like, all right, if something comes out on Xbox that I want to play, like for example, Ori, you know, like I would love to play Ori right now, unfortunately, but you know, like if it's exceptions like that, maybe. Also, I'm interested in like Master Chief Collection as well, you know. So maybe
wait for that on Switch.
Yeah, right. That's the thing too. It's like I kind of want to just wait for all those games to come to Switch. Like Ori will come to Switch eventually. You know.
Lord Alpha, I recommend going on Twitter to see at Wario64.
Yes, I actually put his at in the chat right now.
Yeah. Actually, you want to put the link to the tweet I sent you as well, because that does have a spec sheet.
I can do that. Actually, I can do that. I'm fine with everything. I just want to play Spider-Man PS5 after Ghost of Tsushima PS4 is what the Gurin says. Let's see here. Okay, I'm going to put that link that Christian was talking about right here. Y'all can go enjoy that. It might be good to see both PS4 and PS5 games on PS5.
Yeah. I mean, he articulated that.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. He laid it out for sure.
So I do think eventually we will get where, I don't know if Xbox would do it, of like, here's the best way to play it and here's how it looks on the console you already own. I think with PlayStation, they're probably going to really go in on like, here's Spider-Man how you played it. Here's Spider-Man how you could play it if you upgraded and bought a new system. I think that's coming.
Yeah.
It's probably closer to the launch campaign, I'd say.
Yeah. I agree. Well, you have any closing thoughts? Last your question, anywhere the people can find you as well, if you.
Sure. I also wanted to say one last thing in response to chat.
Absolutely.
Shattered Ink. I'm wondering if games bought digital will auto transfer to PS5.
That's a great question.
I think they absolutely will.
Yeah.
I think the ones that are compatible at launch are the ones that are going to be able to play. So like the metric he said was the top 100 most played for our count.
Right.
So-
Which is a very smart list to go off of in terms of like, all right, what do we want to make compatible with PS5 like immediately?
Yeah.
It's a smart move, but
So like there's going to be some third party games, so like probably the CODs, probably Witcher, GTA, but most of the exclusives I'd say as well, especially like the Worldwide Studios ones.
mhm.
I think all those digitally you'll probably be able to download as soon as you get a PS5.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yep.
yeah, Kevin, thanks for inviting me on.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And as far as plugs go, you can follow me on Twitter at Chris N. Buckley. That's Instagram as well. I've been streaming a lot lately.
A little bit of Harry Potter.
Yeah, twitch.tv/joyclicks. Lots of Harry Potter, PS1. I got a lot of PS1 games lined up. So if you're interested in PS1 licensed games or looking back at the PS1, give that a little look-see.
Indeed. Definitely do that. JoyClicks, youtube.com/JoyClicks. And of course, down below in the description, you can keep it locked on our links down there. We had the homie King Fox in the chat talking about the Discord. Definitely go and join that Discord as well. A lot of cool conversations happening on there. A lot of cool stuff. We react to certain things. We talk about whatever. I share the thumbnails for every video beforehand on there. There's a little tease for you all. So make sure to go check out that Discord. Check out that Discord down below, as well as our Twitter at PSSourceVids, or of course link in the description, as well as our Anchor link to listen to our long form content in podcast format. That, of course, being Road to Part 2 and Road to Final Fantasy VII Remake, the weekly Road 2 series that focus on big PlayStation games coming up. We have a topic. It's like a mini podcast. You know what I'm saying? It's like about 30, 45 minutes long. You can go check out those, as well as Save Slot Podcast as well, which should go live after this. Question mark? Most likely. Definitely go live after this. And of course, our regular content that we have here on the channel. But make sure you go check out JoyClicks as well. youtube.com/JoyClicks. And yeah. Thank you all for coming out. Much appreciated. Thank you for all the likes. Thank you for all the shares. All the subs. Much appreciated. Everyone in the chat as well. Rocking out with us on this morning. And I'm sure this won't be the last PS5 event. I'm sure there's plenty more to come. So, yeah.
We got to stay at play soon, probably.
Oh, Stay a Place happening pretty soon, bro.
End of April, I bet we have one by then.
End of April. Because it would line up for like a massive blowout with like Iron Man VR and, of course, Last of Us Part 2. So one last hurrah. One last day of play. I see that. I can see that. All right. I'm going to go do some laundry. That I've been dreading. Yeah, I'm going to go do some laundry. So thank you all for coming out. Much appreciated. And as always, greatness awaits.
See ya.